The Comfort Crisis by Michael Easter, full breakdown and deep analysis. Part 1. Comfort is not the goal, it's the problem. We are living in the most comfortable time in human history. Climate control regulates our temperature. Food is everywhere. Physical movement is optional. Entertainment is infinite. And yet, people feel worse. Rates of depression, anxiety, chronic stress, and burnout are reaching all-time highs across the world, especially in developed societies. The paradox is clear: the easier life gets, the harder it becomes to live it well. Michael Easter's The Comfort Crisis asks a brutal question: what if our pursuit of comfort has become our greatest vulnerability? Easter introduces this question not from a philosophical ivory tower, but from the wilds of the Alaskan tundra, where he spends 33 days on an elite hunting trip. There's no phone signal, no running water, no social media, no Amazon Prime. Just wilderness, suffering, and a growing realization: we weren't made for ease. We were made for effort. The premise is not that comfort is evil, it's that chronic comfort breeds weakness. And not just physical weakness, but emotional and psychological fragility too. Our biology was designed for movement, risk, hunger, silence, boredom, even fear. These elements were once part of everyday survival. Now, we've eliminated them. And as a result, we've eliminated the very conditions that make us strong. Part 2. Evolution prepared us for adversity, not convenience. To understand why comfort is so harmful, we need to understand our evolutionary wiring. Humans evolved as persistence hunters. For most of history, we lived in harsh environments, constantly scanning for danger, enduring hunger, walking 10 to 20 miles a day, lifting, climbing, solving problems in real time. We adapted to that world. We became remarkably resilient creatures. But only when the environment demanded it. The modern world demands almost nothing from us physically. We can work from bed. We can order food without moving. We can outsource every difficulty, from thinking to walking to feeling emotions. And here's the catch: while the environment changed, our biology didn't. Our bodies and brains are still tuned for struggle. Michael Easter interviews evolutionary biologists who confirm this. When we remove all stressors, physical movement, environmental challenge, emotional friction, our bodies and minds go into a kind of decay. Not immediately, but slowly, subtly, and irreversibly. The result? We get sick more often. We become mentally dull. Our tolerance for frustration drops. Our emotional reactivity increases. And worst of all, we lose the inner signal that tells us we're alive. Part 3. The Misogi, Reclaiming Your Edge. Easter presents one of the book's most powerful concepts, the Misogi. Based on a Japanese purification ritual, a Misogi is a single, monumental challenge. One that has a 50% chance of failure. It's not just exercise, it's a full confrontation with your limits. There's only one rule: it must radically reset your perception of what you're capable of. One Misogi example from the book is a man carrying a rock underwater for 5 hours. Another walked 33 miles through a snowstorm with zero support. The idea is to make it so hard, so unknown, and so pure, that when it's over, you are permanently altered. Why does this matter? Because we've normalized ease. Our daily life includes no element that requires transformation. And without transformation, we become spiritually starved. A Misogi is not about proving something to others. It's not shared online. It's not a competition. It's an inner confrontation. A reminder that you are not yet who you could be. Easter suggests everyone do one Misogi per year. It doesn't need to be physical. It could be creative, intellectual, emotional. The key is this: if you're sure you can do it, it's not a misogi. Part 4: Solitude, the missing element of modern thought. Solitude is increasingly rare. We are always connected, to notifications, to people, to media, to sound. True silence and solitude are seen as outdated, even dangerous. Easter explores what happens when we reintroduce solitude. During his time in the wilderness, he experienced entire days without hearing another voice. At first, the silence was unsettling. But over time, it became revelatory. Solitude allows the brain to perform its most important function, integration. When you're alone with your thoughts, ideas start to collide. Patterns emerge. Unresolved emotions rise and dissolve. Priorities become clear. Without solitude, you live in fragments. Your attention is split. Your self-awareness dulls. You lose the ability to reflect and course-correct. Easter references studies showing that people who spend even 15 minutes a day in silence show improved emotional regulation, decision-making, and long-term goal clarity. But most of us avoid solitude at all costs. We fill every moment with noise, music in the car, podcasts on walks, YouTube before sleep. The brain never rests. And without rest, it loses itself. Part 5: The Hunger Edge, Rethinking Fullness. Modern eating is constant. Most people eat within a 15-hour window every day. Snacks, drinks, processed meals, food is not just sustenance, it's sedation. Easter examines what happens when we interrupt this cycle through intentional fasting. His exploration leads him to scientists studying caloric restriction and time-restricted eating. The data is clear: temporary hunger is not harmful, it's beneficial. It resets metabolism, improves mental clarity, and activates survival genes that remain dormant in our well-fed society. But beyond physiology, fasting teaches discipline. You learn to separate impulse from need, to sit with discomfort, to wait. The modern myth is that hunger must be solved immediately. But that's not how we evolved. Hunger was once a teacher. It sharpened the mind. It forced us to move, to solve, to focus. By voluntarily experiencing hunger, we rewire the brain to be patient, deliberate, and resilient. Part 6: Physical movement. You were built to move. Movement is not optional. It's not just about weight loss or aesthetics. It's about mental performance, emotional regulation, and cellular health. Easter explores how the average modern person walks less than 1 mile per day. In contrast, hunter-gatherers walked between 10 and 14 miles every single day. This movement regulated blood flow to the brain, released mood-enhancing neurotransmitters, flushed stress hormones, and stimulated neurogenesis. Today, our sedentary habits are producing cognitive decline, emotional volatility, and poor decision-making. And the fix isn't a gym membership. It's reintroducing natural movement throughout the day: long walks, floor sitting, carrying loads, standing for long stretches. Easter introduces the 3:30 rule: every 30 minutes, move for 3. Stand up, stretch, pace, lift something. It's not just about burning calories, it's about reactivating the nervous system. Part 7: The Myth of Stress Elimination. Much of modern culture teaches us that stress is bad, something to avoid, medicate, suppress. Easter shows why this is a mistake. Stress is not harmful, chronic, unmanaged stress is. Acute stress, delivered in doses, is what builds tolerance and strength. He compares it to strength training. Lifting a heavy weight temporarily damages the muscle so it can rebuild stronger. Psychological stress works the same way. By introducing manageable stress through cold exposure, fasting, hard conversations, physical challenges, or cognitive pressure, we build the capacity to handle more. This is called hormesis, the process where a small dose of something uncomfortable creates a beneficial adaptation. But when we live in a state of chronic low-level anxiety, caused by screen overload, social comparison, and stagnation, we never experience the completion of a stress cycle. The body gets stuck in limbo. The solution is not to eliminate stress, but to control its quality and frequency. Part 8. Discomfort as a lifestyle shift, not a challenge event. Michael Easter makes a clear distinction between discomfort as a one-time heroic effort versus discomfort as a daily, sustainable practice. Most people are attracted to the idea of a big, dramatic challenge, a misogi, a marathon, a silent retreat. These are valuable, but they're not the whole solution. The real transformation comes when we design our lifestyle to include daily elements of intentional discomfort. Easter draws on behavioral psychology to show that the brain adapts far more effectively through consistent, repeated exposure to manageable difficulty than it does through rare, extreme events. Daily discomfort rewires your relationship with effort. You stop seeing struggle as a signal of failure and start seeing it as a normal part of growth. Examples he gives are deceptively simple. Take the stairs even when you're tired. Walk somewhere instead of driving. Delay gratification for a few hours. Sit in silence without a phone. Finish what you start, even when it's boring. Each small act reinforces a core truth: you are capable of doing hard things, not in theory, but in practice. Easter warns against the crash and recover pattern. People do something hard once, feel proud, then return to comfort. Instead, he suggests a daily discomfort dose, 5 to 10 minutes where you deliberately choose the hard path. Over time, these moments compound into real resilience. Part 9. Passive suffering vs. active discomfort. One of Easter's most insightful distinctions is between two very different kinds of pain. Passive suffering is what most people live with every day: low-level anxiety, boredom, dissatisfaction, regret, emotional numbness. It's the result of avoiding effort, avoiding change, and staying too comfortable. Active discomfort, by contrast, is temporary pain you choose, the pain of pushing through a workout, writing when you're uninspired, holding silence when you'd rather speak, resisting a craving, or walking into uncertainty. Here's the paradox: passive suffering feels easier in the short term, but it accumulates and becomes unbearable. Active discomfort feels harder now, but it clears space, builds strength, and generates momentum. Easter urges readers to stop tolerating passive suffering and instead embrace chosen struggle. Because only one of these paths leads somewhere better. This reframing is crucial. Discomfort is not an enemy, it's an investment. Pain is not punishment, it's a teacher. And comfort, while seductive, can be the most dangerous addiction of all. Part 10. Reconnecting with purpose through struggle. Easter argues that one of the hidden costs of chronic comfort is the erosion of purpose. Purpose, he says, doesn't come from thinking. It comes from doing, especially doing hard things that matter to you or others. The mistake people make is trying to feel motivated before they act. But the sequence is reversed: action comes first, meaning follows. He cites research from psychological studies and military training that shows how people in extreme environments, soldiers, wilderness guides, athletes, often report higher levels of purpose and satisfaction. Not because their work is easy, but because it's demanding. Effort is clarifying. It narrows your focus. It prioritizes your values. It silences the noise. Easter also reflects on interviews with people who had overcome addiction, trauma, or depression, not by escaping hardship, but by engaging with it. The process of overcoming gave them a new story about who they were. This is the core idea: struggle is not the opposite of meaning, it's the foundation of it. And in a world where comfort removes all struggle, we risk removing all meaning. Part 11: Why Modern Culture Trains You to Be Weak. Easter takes a sharp look at how modern systems, from marketing to tech to education, train us to avoid discomfort at all costs. He explains how apps are designed to reduce friction. Advertisements promise ease and speed. Productivity tools eliminate complexity. And schools increasingly lower standards to avoid stress. The result is a generation of people untrained in hardship. And worse, trained to fear it. But real life, relationships, careers, parenting, health, is inherently hard. It's full of uncertainty, failure, boredom, and pain. If you are not trained to handle these, you break under their weight. Easter doesn't suggest becoming stoic monks or masochists. He suggests a simple pivot: stop avoiding what's hard just because it's hard. The pain you feel when you push yourself is not a sign of danger. It's a sign of adaptation. Part 12: Rebuilding Yourself from the Edge. In the final sections of the book, Easter returns to Alaska, not just as a location, but as a metaphor. His time in the wilderness forced him to strip away layers of comfort, habit, identity, and distraction. What was left wasn't just a better version of himself, it was a clearer one. He wasn't perfect. He wasn't fearless. But he was awake. And that's the ultimate goal. Through his reflections, Easter proposes a new kind of success, one not measured in money or ease, but in depth. How deeply you know yourself. How fully you show up. How much you've stretched your potential. And that kind of success is only possible when you live near your edge, not past it, not short of it, but right where growth occurs. He leaves the reader with a challenge: don't wait for discomfort to find you. Go find it. Final analysis: what this book got right, and where it falls short. The Comfort Crisis delivers a powerful and necessary message. It confronts a blind spot in modern thinking, the assumption that more comfort leads to better living. Easter challenges this with research, story, and lived experience. What the book does well: clear and actionable principles. Compelling personal narrative. Strong synthesis of psychology, biology, and philosophy. A call to reawaken forgotten strengths. What it lacks: deeper engagement with socio-economic inequality. Not everyone can afford to fast, wander, or leave work. Limited exploration of emotional discomfort. The focus is heavily physical. Solutions are weighted toward the individual, with little attention to systemic forces that create overcomfort. Still, its core truth remains intact: you are capable of far more than you think, but only if you step outside what's easy. If there's one message to take from the Comfort Crisis, it's this: discomfort is not something to be avoided. It is where transformation begins. It sharpens your mind, strengthens your body, and expands your soul. If you want more from life, you don't need more tools. You need more courage, to sit with silence, to walk into uncertainty, to stay with the hard thing one moment longer than you want to. Comfort promises peace. But only discomfort delivers progress. So start small. Walk farther. Wait longer. Speak honestly. Move daily. Fast occasionally. Do the thing that scares you, not recklessly, but deliberately. Because on the other side of discomfort is not just strength. It's you, fully alive.